All right, crypto peeps, we've got news for you that might be kind of scary, especially if you run an exchange. The CEO of Binance, not CZ, the new one, Richard Tang, has said that Nigerian officials, government officials, have asked crypto executives to come in for a settlement. And when the crypto executives did not agree to their ridiculous terms of settlement, they detained them and maybe threw them in jail. Now, I'm not really sure where the sources come from, but it's Nigeria. And we know that there are many Nigerian princes there that will do anything for power and money. You know, the famous Nigerian princes that offered you a huge return but then scammed you. Now, these government officials don't seem to be that much better, promising, oh, come in for settlement. We'll make a good and fair settlement for you. And then when you refuse their settlement, they detain you. No freedom there. So obviously, Binance shut down all their operations on Nigeria. They completely moved out and they did not try to go settle with the Nigerian authorities because of what's known. This is a very, very dangerous precedent. Come to think of it, in the United States, it's kind of like them inviting CZ back and then not letting CZ out of the country because of flight risk. Thankfully, our courts did better than that, only gave him 4 months of prison, which isn't too much, and they'll probably give him some credit for the time that they've actually detained him. So he'll be out and about very soon. But we don't really know how long these Nigerian authorities are going to detain these crypto exchanges. I think doing it this way, they were hoping that no information leaked out. But that wasn't the case because obviously we know about it now, and information did leak out, thank God. And I don't think anyone in the crypto verse, or maybe in any other verse, will actually go for their so-called settlements in the future. Basically, they have secret police surrounding the place, and then they invite you in for a so-called settlement, give you terms that are very, very unfavorable to you, and then they detain you and maybe even throw you in the gulags if you do not agree to their settlement. So, yeah, Nigeria, unfortunately, is, I think, the second biggest economy in that region of Africa. So it's actually a pretty big market. So there's a lot of crypto exchanges that really, really want to operate in the country. However, now many of them might actually have second thoughts if the government's going to use these underhanded tactics to detain people and get exactly what they want. You thought other governments were bad. Oh, these governments, they're really bad. Imagine if a exchange that's headquartered in the country didn't actually listen to them. They would just detain them and throw them in jail first without any real kind of trial. So at least in the United States, you know, like they get sued mainly by the SEC, not by the DOJ. The SEC can't actually throw you in jail. They can just fine you a lot. The DOJ can actually throw you in jail. They mainly get sued by the SEC, and then they have long, lengthy, and costly trials. But they're actually winning these trials, where in Nigeria, you might not have that privilege of even having a trial. They might just throw you in jail just for funsies, you know? So, yeah, not very good look for Nigeria, and definitely no one else is going to trust them when they ask you to come in for a so-called settlement anymore. And I think crypto is going to take a big, big hit in Nigeria from this leaked news, because I think crypto companies, despite the attractive market in Nigeria, still nothing like the United States, obviously, they're more than likely to actually pull out at this point, because it's not worth being thrown in jail. I don't really know about the domestic market. Maybe it'll just evolve into like P2P exchanges. I think P2P is already pretty popular there anyways. Or maybe like they just won't have that many options for fiat on-ramps and exchanges. So we'll have to see what happens there, but very, very bad news, and sets a very, very bad precedent, and scary precedent if crypto exchanges play along with what's going on there, which it looks like, thankfully, they are not. They are just pulling out altogether. Binance is completely pulling out. And the thing is, like, you know, you can't really trust that kind of justice system there if they're just going to detain you if you don't agree to their terms. In other words, Hong Kong has actually formed a huge council to look for tokenization in RWA. I believe it's a 7-person council, and they're really looking at things to tokenize a lot of aspects like bonds, funds, pensions, retirements. Remember, Hong Kong is a special economic region in China. Just because Hong Kong is doing it does not mean the rest of China is doing it, but they are still under control of the CCP. So despite them not really being like the rest of China, China might definitely be looking at this as a blueprint for what they might do in the future. So it's still good, but it'll probably be several years if something happens in China, which obviously we really hope that it will happen in China, because that would definitely help the crypto industry. Hong Kong's economy is a small fraction of the United States. China's obviously a lot bigger, but in terms of crypto economy and ETF, they are still very, very small compared to the United States. The US ETF economy is $8.9 trillion, whereas China's only $238 billion, which is like a 40x difference between the two. The US still has way more investment money than pretty much any other country. But this could be the gateway for China to actually come into crypto. And remember, a lot of rich Chinese people do have holdings in Hong Kong, and they'll use that Hong Kong entity to actually get themselves into crypto. The Hong Kong ETFs thus far has been kind of disappointing in volume, but I think that's because a lot of people were expecting way too much of it. And it was never really going to be able to reach that height. Hasn't really affected the price as much. Like I said, none of the ETFs have really affected the price outside the United States. The US is honestly like the only ETF that really matters at this point because of the massive amount of money that Americans have to actually put into these things. But Hong Kong's definitely taking a huge initiative, and they do so with the blessing of the Chinese government, even though other parts of China are acting very, very differently from Hong Kong. I'm hoping eventually China lifts the ban on crypto trading, and there'll be exchanges on the mainland, as well as ETFs and other financial products, because I do know there are a lot of people waiting for that opportunity to actually come into this market, both in like the major cities in the mainland, and of course, they're still waiting for some things in Hong Kong. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, hit that bell notifications button. Thank you, and have a nice day.